All right, so thank you again for meeting with us today. Is there any information that you'd want to start out with?
No, we could probably just work through your questions. I can probably
Okay.
go through it and explain things with how the business works and how the communication works in the business and that. So.
All right, awesome, sounds good. So after looking at your website, it said that you moved over 1 million people per day. Your company must have a lot of projects going on at the same time. How do you keep in contact with all of your laborers?
One thing with the 1 million people a day, that's kind of based on existing equipment in there, moving people up and down and on the escalators. How we keep in contact with the laborers is everybody has iPhones, and we have information programs through those iPhones, and that's how how service calls get put out to the different mechanics in the field, so you know where the problems are, and then we also work through the superintendents and using the phones to contact the technicians.
Okay. Is there a chain of command that they have to go through?
There is. Most of them have a supervisor they report to. And then there's some management above that.
Okay.
So normally the mechanics in the field have a superintendent that they're assigned to, and that superintendent then we have a district service manager in the office that oversees all the superintendents on the existing installation side, and then there's general manager over that.
Okay.
So, and we have 4 distinct businesses or things to our operation. So we have the maintenance business, which is route technicians that go around and do preventive maintenance on the equipment. Cleveland State's one of our customers, so we have one guy full-time just does the campus. Then there's a repair business, so that is when we sell upgrades to the equipment, small upgrades, and that we have repair teams that go out and do that, and we have a superintendent in charge of that area. We have the new installation business, which is a construction side, putting in the new elevators and escalators. And then we have the modernization business, which has existing elevators and buildings when they're going to basically take out the old elevators and put in new ones, but reuse some of the existing components.
Okay, and then do you oversee all of them, or?
Yeah, I oversee the operation for Northeast Ohio. So basically, the managers, district service manager, operations managers report into me, along with the sales department, and so yeah.
Okay.
There's about 100 employees that cover just Northeast Ohio for us.
Okay. And now, if there's a problem in the work field with either laborers or something like that, is there a way that your installers or your mechanics can raise concern to their supervisors?
Yeah, they can already talk to them, and usually with the new installation business, the construction business, we have kickoff phone conferences that we have. So the superintendent, the operations manager for the NI and mod business, and myself will be on the call to talk about the details of the current project that they're assigned to, and have them ready for it. So if there's any issues they have where they don't have the right tooling, or they have a concern with how the setup or the startup's going to be, it comes out a lot of times in those calls. They also, the superintendents will visit the job sites with the mechanics. They also do, every mechanic every 6 months has a safety audit done on them to make sure they're working safely and that. So there's communication there. We do have chain of command. Basically, if the laborers have a concern, they're supposed to give it to their superintendent first. If their superintendent does not address it, then they can go up to the operations manager above them, and they go up to my level at that point, or there's also a 800 number that they can call in with safety concerns or things along those lines that they can report out to.
And you said that you deal with just Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
How do you communicate with the other branches of your company? Or do you keep in contact with them?
There's a little bit, not a lot, that you need to. We use email, obviously the cell phones, texting, things like that. We have a thing called Same Time, which basically you can get online. It ties in with, I think, our IBM Notes for emails, where if you're online, you can log into it, and then you can see who's online, just send instant messaging back and forth. That's basically what it is. So there isn't too much required going back and forth. Sometimes with the area which oversees a number of offices, we need reports going back and forth. Most of the time that's done through email with Excel spreadsheets and things like that.
So when there's problems in the workforce, I know that you said you have a chain of command. How do you communicate to them to make the situation better?
It depends on what type of problems we're talking about. If they're having, problems where they need some component, we'll follow, get it to them and follow up with them. If we're talking issues with their work, or that there's problems with their attitudes or things along those lines, most of the time we'll bring them into the office and kind of sit down behind closed doors. You kind of want to, if you have those issues, you don't want to be done out in public. You also don't want them necessarily on a job site. If you're talking about somebody about their job and those type of things, you want to make sure they're okay to some extent before they leave, and they have time to process this before they're onto a job site where they're, we're working at height, we're working with high voltage, so we got to make sure their heads are clear to be safe.
And I know you have a lot of competitors. You're one of the top leading elevator and escalator company in the world. How do you differ from your competitors in regards to communication with your employees?
It's a tough one for me to say because I'm not really sure about how the other companies are doing it. I know that we're very focused on safety, and I know in talking to other mechanics, we use union mechanics so they can work for different companies, and we usually get a lot of feedback that we are a lot more, we have monthly safety meetings where we have, it's not really PowerPoint, it's kind of like video presentations for them each month, laying out different subject matter. Some of it's interactive, things like that, to focus on the safety side of it. We do the audits of them every 6 months in the field, which is more than most other companies do. So from that standpoint, no, but as far as the communication, how they go about getting in touch, I think most of the other ones use very similar means, using the iPhones and things like that information to them.
How do you adapt to your communication strategies with the ever-changing world of technology?
That's a tough one because one with this when we're dealing with our customers, it's really not one size fits all anymore. So you're really depending on the type of customer, sometimes the age of the customer. You depend on how they like to be communicated, whether through emails, whether they want phone calls, whether they just want text messages or face-to-face meetings. One of the things that actually question got me thinking a little bit, because I think there's a disconnect a little bit in some of the companies, because you have the upper management of the company is usually people who've worked through the company, worked in different things, gotten experience, and now they're at the top level making decisions. Those people are usually older. A lot of the people who we're dealing with customer-wise are property managers or things that are just 20-somethings, low 30s. So you have the people making the decisions of how we should communicate that like being communicated face-to-face and like having sit-down meetings and talking over a meal and things like that. And then you have a lot of our customers that are, I just want the information, and I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time getting to know you or anything along those lines. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there, I think.
We noticed that you have social media accounts. How do you promote your business professionally through those?
That's really not done too much locally. We have a communications department, an IS department at our headquarters in Morristown that are focused on that. I know we also use some third-party vendors that help put content on there for us.
So what communication strategies are currently in place to keep current business while also attracting new business?
Really the things with keep the existing businesses, the sales reps have visitation plans given to them, how often they should be seeing customers, how often they should be going and sitting in front of them. That kind of ties into what I said earlier, where I'm not sure if visitation plans are the best thing with all the customers. But it does keep you in front of them, does keep you close to any issues going on. We also have operators a call center kind of that calls customers and does customer sat questions for them. So you're doing surveys to them and finding out what issues they have, and if they rate us below, basically they ask them, they go through a few different questions, and the last one is, how do you rate us on a scale from 0 to 10? If it's a 9, 10, we're good. If it's below that, then we have a follow-up for the sales rep has 48 hours to get in touch with the customer and kind of set up a meeting or a discussion and find out what issues we can correct and do better for them so we keep them customers long-term. As far as getting new business, that's really done on a almost office-by-office basis. And really the different reps have different tools about doing that, whether it's cold calling, whether it's stopping in and walking through, or going to a town and kind of going door to door almost. But
Do you ally yourself with anyone in your industry?
are you talking like with other companies or with
Competitors?
competitors? Not really. No. Normally there's a lot of kind of code of conduct stuff where you're not supposed to really be sharing much information there. There are consultants in the industry. So there's different consultant companies that come and will work with a customer on, surveying the equipment, and we work with them too. I mean, there's some that, we worked with for many years together on different projects. So you kind of build up a relationship over time.
We noticed that a lot of the company's business is beginning to take place overseas. Do you notice difficulties communication between the different cultures?
I don't do too much of that myself. A lot of times we see with the other countries is there's most of the people that are dealing with the customers, the sales force, the superintendents, the mechanics in the field are from that country. Usually the culture, they're able to deal with a lot of that. Sometimes the upper management may be somebody from another country. So there's a little bit, but most of the time they haven't seen too many issues with that.
Do you think your advertising strategies would be different because of the cultures?
I don't think that we have. We kind of have a set marketing campaign, and we're a Swiss company, so it kind of has a little bit of a European, but it does kind of try to cover all the different countries that we're in and involved in.
And then we noticed that your company's vision is to achieve market leadership through providing exceptional value to your customers. Has that vision changed over time?
A little bit. Usually with each leadership change, there's a little tweak to it. It's not a big change. It's not, it basically, we've always been known as a quality-driven company, and with a focus to the customer and that. And so it's had different wording to it, but it's basically been pretty similar message all the way through.
Online, you have, to go back a little bit,
Okay.
you guys have like a contact number, and how is that the way that your customers would reach out, like if there was an immediate problem, like?
The contact number you had was, did you look at the Cleveland location?
Yeah.
Okay, so the contact number was kind of for myself in that one, or who was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was for yourself.
Yeah, okay. So normally, our existing customers, we have an 800 number. So if they have any problems with their elevators, they call the 800 number and can get a mechanic dispatched out to take care of the problem. You also have the opportunity to do it through the internet too. You can actually go in there, have codes, and place a call that way. As far as local offices, they can call me. I don't get too many of those calls, Lou. Most of the time, they're aware of who their contacts are. They also can send an email to our headquarters, which usually filters back down to me and gets assigned to the right people to get taken care of and closed out.
And then with that 800 number that they can call, how long does it usually take for somebody to come out and perform the service?
Normally, it's the same day. If you have an entrapment, that's somebody stuck in an elevator, that's a code 1, and normally that trumps everything else. So we're out during the day within half an hour, and after hours, like at night, probably an hour, because most of our mechanics live in the suburbs, so it does take them time to get in the car and drive in and get to the building, but that's about it. As far as regular service, it could be 4 to 6 hours if it's not an entrapment, just as a shutdown car.
Okay. Is your customer base very diverse, or do you mainly serve like one specific group of people?
No, it's very diverse. You have basically we got hospitals that we take care of. You have banks, office buildings, churches, schools, universities, manufacturing facilities. Our guys can be going into a steel plant 1 minute and going to church across the way, and then going to an office building in the downtown area. So it really is a wide range of customers. That usually makes it pretty interesting to
Yeah.
a business because you're dealing with so many different people.
And then, would you say that Otis would be one of your like leading competitors?
Yeah,
Okay.
Otis is number one in the world for elevators, and we're number two. We're number one for escalators and moving walks. So.
Okay. And then, how do you kind of benchmark them to try to compare what they're doing around here and globally, or do you try to surpass them?
Well, you're always trying to beat the competition.
Mhm.
So you're always looking to try to find ways to get better, but you do see what they're doing, what they're successful in doing, and try to pick up some of that. There's a push from headquarters locally. Locally, Schindler is the largest in Northeast Ohio, so we keep an eye on what they're doing. But feedback we've gotten is that we'll keep an eye out, see if they do something better, but we feel that we were doing things the best locally and had the best processes in place. So it's worked out over the years and us growing some business and that from them. So, but we continue to keep an eye on them and make sure.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions that they thought of during this interview? Well, thanks for your
No problem at all. I'm happy to do it.